I'm here to introduce you and present you Mr. Wolf Maor.
Oh, thank you so much. I don't think I've ever been introduced as Mr. Wolf, but thank you, I guess. Okay, so Affiliate Expo Milan. So this is a brand new presentation I wrote. It's going back to what I started with, which is very tactical, very kind of like geeky stuff, and it has to do with VSL campaigns. So we're gonna dive deep into several parts of VSL campaigns as a media buyer. We're gonna go over a bunch of stuff. It's not a long presentation, and if anyone has questions or anything at the end, I don't know if I'm supposed to do a Q&A or not, but I'm really into this kind of stuff like right now. So if anyone has questions, just make sure that you ask me. So my name is Maor Benaim. It's Maor. It's pronounced Maor. I am an affiliate. I have several agencies, a few brands, and I am currently managing 200,000 daily budget across Facebook, TikTok, all of the Google ad networks, and native ad platforms. I'm also known as the guy who proposed on the affiliate world stage. Believe it or not, she is still with me for some reason. And by the end of this, the only time I get any sort of people like cheering is the fact that I'm able to hold a fucking relationship. That's when. I also am very proud of the fact that I wrote this book. It took me 2.5 years. It's for anyone, really, inside the industry. It's for people who are just like overachievers that are into entrepreneurship. It's also available on Audible. It's everything I learned from therapy and coaching and stuff like that. So you have the QR code if anyone wants to do it. It's only $5, or if you're on Audible, it's free. So we're going to go through a few things. We're going to talk about how to choose the correct platform for your VSL campaign. Can you make sure that I have my notes here instead of the presentation? That would be nice. We're going to go through pixels, tracking, implementation of that, and how you do that. We're going to go and talk about policy, how to avoid certain issues. We're going to dive deep into creative stuff, but not in a way that you think that we are. And then I'm going to give you some really advanced tips, and I'm going to share some secrets that I haven't shared before. So how do you actually choose where to run? That's like one of the biggest questions, because some people match the offer with the platform, and some people match the platform to the offer, and that's kind of like the biggest thing. You have on one side native platforms like Taboola, Outbrain, and those sort of stuff. You have Facebook and Instagram, and then you have all of the Google networks and TikTok. So we're going to go over them. We are limited in time, so I'm not going to dive super deep into each one of them, but I am going to go through the cons and pros in relation to VSL campaigns. So natives. It's much more automated nowadays. There used to be a time where you actually opened up a campaign. You really had to do everything manually, bid adjust, smart bid, everything with natives. It's way less saturated than Facebook and Instagram. And then you get, which is one of the biggest benefits with platforms like Taboola and Outbrain, you get very good feedback with policy. Okay, so usually what happens with Facebook is that you get a campaign. If it's not compliant, you get your ad account banned, you get your business manager banned. With Taboola, they would, if you're managed, they would actually give you very specific information in regards to what you need to change inside the landing page. Another very big benefit is that it's much cheaper during Q1 and Q2, the first 6 months of the year. And then it's very good for health-related campaigns and stuff like that. And day parting actually works pretty good. In terms of the cons, nowadays, if you want to run on Taboola and Outbrain, you need a lot of money just to stabilize the campaign. If you do not have a large amount of cash and you're not really secure with your media buying skills and the offer, don't even start natives. You're just going to spend some money and lose it. Also, one big thing is that you have to be managed if you want to run smoothly, unless you're managed at a very high level and have a very good rep. which is one of the biggest things with natives. You know, if you compare it to other ad platforms, being managed is not such a big deal. But with natives, you really want to have that whitelists and stuff like that. It takes a lot more attention if you want to choose, you know, exactly and manage just like your campaigns and pause certain placements, publishers and stuff like that. You need a lot of creative testing, and then you want to make sure that you block all of the push and ARB traffic there, because that's highly likely not going to convert. When we talk about Facebook and Instagram, it's probably the easiest and cheapest win, potentially. Who here runs on Facebook? Probably most of you guys. So in terms of bid and cost cap campaigns, that's something that works great there as well. And it turns the campaigns into a much more sustainable thing. And then it's just like the easiest platform to spy. And in terms of the cons, it's kind of like the same thing, because the fact that it's the easiest and fastest, cheapest win also makes it the most saturated one. The fact that it's easier to spy there makes your ads known to everyone, and basically people duplicate them and stuff like that. And then it's been very highly unstable lately. I don't know if anyone here just like saw how unstable Facebook has been lately in the last few months. Lots of policy issues. I think Attila wrote a post a few months ago. He asked, what are your biggest challenges with affiliate marketing? And one of the biggest ones was getting banned on Facebook and stuff like that. So that has been really buggy. When we talk about Google, which is like my go-to place, it scales very easily. You have less policy issues. It allows for a lot more targeting options compared to TikTok, compared to Taboola, compared to Facebook specifically. And you have a lot of different networks there. Day parting works great there, and that's one of the biggest advantages with Google. And then the cons. That's probably the ad platform that takes the most amount of skill or experience. And then you have the overspending part of it. Google is very known for overspending. So if you're gonna decide on a budget, just make sure that you are ready for the campaign to overspend by twice as much at the very least in the first few days of the campaign. And then just because it has a lot of targeting options, a lot of placements, it takes the most time to manage. So that's one thing. TikTok, probably the least saturated one out of the bunch. You get cashback on ad spend. That's the easiest platform to get cashback on. Targeting by content works. And then there is a very big opportunity on Pangle right now for specific industries. So Japan, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, that's very big. And then you have the cons. Hardest policy ever. So most people, they try anything that has to do with TikTok, they get banned. So you want to make sure that you are managed at a very high level there. And also, if you can, ask for the team to get you into the premium policy inside of TikTok, that allows you for better feedback on your campaigns and what to change. It's also video only, so if you really need more resources. Has the biggest creative fatigue, so that means that you need to keep pumping and changing creatives. It's the hardest one to scale. It's slower, it's a more buggy platform just because it's the newest one out of the bunch. We're gonna move into pixels, events, tracking, and really understand, again, in a very technical, geeky way, what I usually do. So regardless of what I'm gonna say right now, usually before I get into a VSL campaign, regardless of how gray hat, black hat, aggressive the offer might be, you want to make sure that you have a bunch of stuff really set in order for you to launch the campaign. So the first thing is that you want to have a warmed up page and a warmed up account. A few years back, a warmed up account would have been enough, but now you also need a warmed up page. Okay, that means that the page either has ran some ads before, has some likes, has been reinstated because it was like banned before and then reapproved or something like that. You want to make sure that you have the pixels implemented for all of the platforms, regardless if you're going to run just on Facebook or Google and stuff like that. You want to make sure that you have the server-to-server postback ready for your tracker because you're going to A/B test a bunch of advertorials, a bunch of funnels and stuff like that. And you want to make sure that you have a very fast, dynamic way to A/B test. So you want to make sure that you have a landing page builder or something like that that allows you to dupe and really move fast. So in terms of tracking, what people usually don't understand is that ad platforms are not built for VSLs. Ad platforms are usually built for lead gen campaigns and e-commerce campaigns. That's 95% of the way that they're being built. They're not built for arbitrage campaigns. They're not built for VSL campaigns. So what you want to do is make sure that the platform sees your campaign as e-com. That means implementing micro conversions. So the funnel, the system, the ad platform needs to look at the funnel and needs to look at the whole way that the user goes through. So if it was Shopify, then we had people adding to cart, initiating checkout, adding to wish list, stuff like that. In here, because we do not have, usually because we don't own the offer, we work with an advertiser or like a network or someone like that, you want to make sure that you do the whole road, basically. So people who add to cart, for example, could be people who clicked out from the advertorial into the offer, and then I usually like implementing one more conversion in between the initial click and the purchase, which is initiate checkout, anyone who watched the video for at least 2 minutes. That allows me for two big things. One, it gives me a lot more optimization power. That means that I don't need to spend as much money as I usually would in order to block a certain placement inside natives, inside of YouTube and stuff like that, because I don't need it to spend as much. If I see that the metrics don't fit, that the conversion rate or the conversion rate between the advertorial and the offer itself doesn't match, then I'm just going to close it. I'm not going to wait for a lot of clicks to go there. The second thing is that it just gives the algorithm a lot more information in regards to what's relevant and what's not. And also it allows you to actually really see bot traffic. So you're going to see lots of people click a certain placement. From a certain placement, they don't go through from the advertorial to the offer, or they go from the advertorial to the offer, and you see that they're not really watching the video, then you know that the traffic is trash, you want to kill it. Again, server-to-server postbacks has to be working, and one big thing that people usually miss when they're A/B testing is they don't set up a specific campaign for every ad platform and for every campaign within a certain platform. That means that you're going to get different results from different campaigns. So this is just like an example. You're going to see 2 campaigns on Facebook. One campaign is Advantage campaign, Advantage shopping campaign, and the other one is what we used to do up till now, which is the manual campaign. You see the difference in EPC. You see the difference. We had almost 2,500 clicks on each one, and we're getting the same payout. So it's not like real e-commerce where we have fluctuations in between AOVs, and the conversion rate really changes. And the fact is that one campaign works for specific funnels and the other one works for a different funnel, and you really want to test it because there is a difference between them. Policy, really big thing. I'm going to give you some advice on, again, stuff that I haven't shared before on what I do in order to bypass them. I'm just really dragging this because I really like South Park, so I'm really focused on that right now. I'm joking. So 2 biggest major policy tips that I have. The first one is that you want to have 2 different business managers or business centers if we're talking about TikTok. One is for testing, one is for launching. Why? 1, because business managers and business centers have different scores, and 2, because you want to stay managed. Like, for example, on ad platforms like TikTok, if they're going to see that you're really doing lots of stuff that gets account banned and stuff like that, you're not going to be able to stay managed. So you want to do the testing on one business manager and then move it. The second thing is that my biggest secret that allows me to really shortcut everything is that I usually go to an ad platform like Taboola to give me more information in regards to what I need to change inside the landing page, and then I use that information in order to make the offer or advertorial more compliant. So that kind of the system goes through, you know, whatever is working or not. And I know I said that I'm going to only give you 2 major policy tips, but I want to give you 2 more. The third one is that I use pages that have been either unbanned, so we just had the page or ad account banned, and then we appealed and got it back. These accounts and pages seem like a lot stronger than the usual ones. And the fourth policy tip that I use on TikTok is I use organic pages to test the creatives. So what happens on TikTok is very unique to the other platforms. What happens is that if you get a creative on an organic page, I don't even have that in the presentation. It's just like something that came up to me now. So once you get a creative, an ad that you're gonna use into an organic page, you're gonna see it goes through not exactly the same type of like process that the ad review goes through, but it goes through something very similar. If you're gonna have troubles, TikTok is gonna remove that post in the first half an hour. So you know that you don't wanna get your account dirty and just like test it on an ad account because it doesn't go through the normal algorithm scan. Let's talk about some creatives. Again, a very new topic that I usually do not touch. I'm not going to talk about which creatives work for VSLs. We're going to dive into it in a very tactical way. So I want to talk about something that I haven't seen or heard people talk about in these conferences, is what I call the big creative misconception. So usually what happens is that an affiliate goes, he sees an offer that has something like $100 payout. He goes on Facebook, he goes wherever, sets up a campaign, sets the budget at 300. The platform gives amazing results in the first 1 to 3 days. You get very nice CPAs, you get 50, 70, 80. You think as an affiliate, oh my God, I'm making lots of money. I'm gonna drive 2 Lamborghinis, I'm gonna have a mansion. Everyone here has lived that kind of like illusion. And then in the day after, you don't have money to buy takeout food. And I'm sure that everyone had that thing, and we keep falling for it. And then what happens is the CPA goes up, the campaign goes down, and the advertiser, or the affiliate in that case, thinks that they need to change creatives. Who in here relates to what I just said in some sort of way? Great. Okay, so then you have lots of creative agencies that tell you, you need new creatives, you need to keep pumping stuff, you need to change your creatives. So what really happens is that the algorithm is trying to find the right audience. And the algorithm, the ad platform like Facebook, it thinks that if you gave it $300 a day, then you've given it enough budget to get at least 12 conversions in that specific day. And what happens is that the campaign doesn't get 12 conversions, and the algorithm thinks, okay, I must be getting a very high CPA because it doesn't usually know what the CPA that you're looking for is. So it goes on a research and discovery loop, and it goes into different placements, different genders, different stuff, and then the CPA goes up and goes completely crazy. So I want to kind of like erase that and tell you about a very interesting study that I've seen. I think this was posted less than a month ago. So Kantar's new research, what they did is they looked at 1,500 different TV ads, and it was 3 different markets, and they could not find any correlation between the ad frequency and the fed-up score that people actually gave the ad. What they did find is that we as advertisers, we get bored from our own creatives, and then we keep changing them, which is really bad for us. And the actual study really found quite the opposite. They found that people that tend to remember our ads also tend to convert more. So this was something they checked in regards to top-of-funnel campaigns, but not only to TV, because we have System 1 and other companies that really found in similar research the same type of stuff, so the same type of results. So in regards to bottom of funnel, what they found is that the likelihood of a person to convert drops by 45% after they've seen the ad 4 times. So the conclusion is that you need to make more bottom of funnel ads, less top of funnel ads and stop pumping and changing a lot of creatives. I'm seeing lots of Facebook reps, people telling me that the difference between the bigger players and the smaller players is that the bigger players are pumping creatives and they are getting lots of campaigns up. And it's not my experience. I've had campaigns in every industry, in every niche that you can think of, that have been very stable with campaigns that are running for 3 months to 8 months and even more. Final portion of this presentation goes into the tactical pro tip. So one big tip is that consistency is really key, okay? If you are not able to withstand and don't have the balls to lose money, nowadays affiliate marketing in 2024 is not for you. I've had so many cases where I've had campaigns that lost a lot of money and I had to change creative sometimes. I had to learn about the industry or that specific product really to get into the person's mind and start to optimize. I had to change platforms, and then, just then, after I lost a lot of money, all of a sudden it just worked out for me. The second thing is, and this is something that a lot of affiliates, even very experienced ones, they fall for it. You want to start with one platform. What happens is that they go on Facebook, they start, it makes lots of money, and they start scaling platforms. And that really drags them into a bigger hole because they lose a lot of money once it goes down. So you want to stabilize one platform, use that platform as kind of like a baseline of like profit that you invest into other platforms before you do that. And you also want to warm up the pixels and implement all the pixels from all of the other platforms. Just like I told you regarding to the micro conversions part, you want to implement more than one conversion. On newer platforms like TikTok, you want to test both direct traffic into the offer page, into the product, and also through advertorial. The reason is that I found that on TikTok, it could be because it's a younger audience that doesn't like advertorials. It could be a new generation of customers. I really don't know. It might be the pixels and the way that the algorithm works there, but lots of campaigns are running very directly from TikTok into the shop, not through an advertorial, and that works great. Wolf tips, I haven't done that in I think a year, so I'm going to share some secrets with what I actually do. So one big thing that has been working great for me nowadays is that I'm using data from one campaign to be used at another campaign, and that gives me much lower CPCs and much higher CTRs. So how I do that? So for example, if I originally want to run a gadget, let's say a portable AC unit. Okay, now it's the summer begins, so these kinds of offers are hot. What I usually do is I wouldn't mind losing money on the first campaign in order to generate that data for the second campaign. So for example, I would make sure that everyone who clicks on the ad gets in the advertorial and spends, I don't know, 30 seconds inside the advertorial, gets into one audience. And I'm going to use that audience for the ED campaign because I know already that I'm targeting 55-plus-year-olds that already intend on buying something, and they are not afraid of clicking on ads inside Facebook. So that's kind of like a general way. I'm not really telling how I technically do that, but that gives you kind of like a window into creative thinking when it comes to media buying. And I'm going to give you one more thing here. Facebook nowadays targets by the way that the user acts, your text, your video, and what the algorithm recognizes that the creative is. So it prices the ad accordingly. So if you're running, for example, ED products, you're going to see that you're getting a very low CPC. And if you're running different kind of like a campaign, for example, a gadget, just because I'm using the same example from the last slide, you're going to see that you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, depends on the time, depends on the creative, dollars per click, basically. So what I use as a growth hack is I'm manipulating the system. So what I do is I let the system understand or think that I'm actually running an ED campaign in that specific case, but I'm actually targeting and sending the user into a gadget. How I do that is basically I change the text or the image, so it doesn't specifically say ED, because at the end of the day, I don't want people to think it's ED and then go into a gadget. But in general, I just manipulate and test lots of texts and creatives just so the system doesn't understand what specifically I'm selling. Okay, so the user understands it, but the system doesn't. So you can see like the difference in between just the CPCs and CTRs that I'm getting. On the left, you have just like the very direct approach where it's like, this is the whatever AC unit, portable AC unit. And the second one is where the system actually thinks it's an ED product, but I'm really selling a gadget. But the CPC there is amazing. And it's just like placements that are very premium inside of it. So that's just like an example here. One more thing. So there is something within the remarketing and retargeting world that's called attentive audience. So inside of platforms like Taboola, it's something that's already set, and that's the screenshot that you're seeing. But in general, an attentive audience is a remarketing audience that's narrowed down. So it's not just everyone that got into your advertorial or product page that you're remarketing to. It's actually people who have much more interest. You can technically do that by just like manually do it. So how you do it is just like narrowing down. So it's not targeting, again, everyone who got inside the offer. You can implement a conversion event for everyone who stayed inside the product page or advertorial for example, 1 minute or 2 minutes, and that's going to narrow it down to half of the people, but you are going to spend money on a much more quality audience. And that's a tip I give for everyone who is running remarketing or retargeting traffic or campaigns that they say that don't work for them. So that really saves a lot of money. That was me, that was the presentation. If I can ask you for one favor, is because it's not a huge audience and I really am investing a lot of fucking time into these presentations and ideas, and I'm sharing them with all my heart, is for you to get the phone out, please. Everyone get your phone out, please. And you have this barcode. It has my Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, OnlyFans, Grindr. And I want to stay in touch with all of you, so I'll follow you back. Add me. And thank you so much for being here.